As internet data and voice services continue to raise national security concerns, the Telecommunications Chamber says all hands are on deck to fix the problem. More as technology analyst urges the development of a local infrastructure backbone to curtail future effect of this.
But they should try and do something about it because it has really affected our work today. Sending message to the house, sending message to an individual is not going through at all.
Oh, did you know that the way and manner food is handled can cause major foodborne illnesses? Stay with us as we speak to experts to dispel some myths surrounding diet and proper preservation of food. Also on the post today, we speak to producers and kinky enthusiasts in Teshi and Osu who are challenging the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Achampon's assertion that kinky prices are decreasing due to government efforts under the Planting for Food and Jobs program.
Last year, they come over boil 2 cities song ni 3 bemi.
Na bread price high. Ablenya bashitomo first school.
Oh, abele price bi ana jilewa.
Yeah, afie ne hu emi no me come yenye hole.
Oh, no me 2 cities talk about 3 cities.
All of this here on the post today on the Joy News channel. Remember, we're live on DSTV channel 422 and GoTV channel 125 around the world on myjoyonline.com. Pulse is always brought to you by our usual sponsors who always help us to bring you this show. It's also available on our social media platforms. My name is Samuel Kojo Bray. Stay tuned for details. Well, partial internet and data blackout in recent days has seen the mobilization of the telecom operators in the country in full gear to restore the service that is biting hard at businesses and the public. Now, outages on multiple submarine fiber optic cables incident has crippled the ability of the telcos to provide the public with reliable internet, data and voice services. A statement released by the National Communications Authority and the Chamber of Telecommunications stated that there is a challenge with what is happening among the cables that transmit data, international data into Ghana, and that's why this is happening. According to the statement issued, the challenge is with the fact that the undersea cable disruptions. There's been some multiple undersea cable disruptions that has affected mobile and fixed data services nationwide. Now, the statement continues to say that the disruptions affected multiple and undersea cables responsible for carrying international traffic have occurred in Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire, and with some disruptions in Portugal as well. This has led to a significant degradation of data services across the country. The statement adds that, quote, "It is important to note that the mobile network operators, MNOs, have redundancies on other cables and are working around the clock to restore full services. In addition, the MNOs have informed affected consumers like yourself of the disruptions via various channels," which I'm sure you've received yours by now. The authority, which is the National Communications Authority, is monitoring the situation and will update the public accordingly. That's a statement that the NCA released when this matter began yesterday. Now, the executive director of the Chamber of Telecommunications, Dr. Ken Ashigwe, says what has happened is a rare occurrence and all is being done to find a solution to the problem. He spoke to my colleague, Evans Mensah.
My life as an engineer, I've not seen that many where you have really that many cables impacted at the same time. But in the current days, you're beginning to see some of this, but these numbers at the same time is the challenge, So then that's why the redundancy of your redundancy, your main is gone, your redundancy is gone. The redundancy of that redundancy also seem to have been hit, and that is what has put us in this precarious position. And so it will be interesting by the time we are able to do the root cause analysis to be able to find out what really caused all of these things happening around the same time.
So what's happening now to fix it? We have divers now in subsea trying to look at this.
Well, the thing about these things is that there's work that constantly is going on through all of that, So depending on the nature of what is first is you're trying to, I'm sure root cause analysis are being done. Then you also have the where you've found out what the challenges are, trying to fix them. Try to identify where the cuts are and be able to, because for some of the cables, there are cuts that have happened. So trying to fix those cuts. Some of them are power challenges that have happened on some of the modules. So you're trying to then really go undersea and be able to fix all of that. So all of that is happening insofar as restoring these undersea cables are concerned. Because of the critical nature of this is something that work is going on around the clock to restore as quickly as possible. So I'm pretty sure as we go along, we're going to be seeing improvement in the services for some time till we'll be able to get to the optimum point.
And I'm pretty sure that you'll be updating us along the way because people really need this very urgently.
Now, Deputy Ranking Member on the Communications Committee of Parliament, Sam George, says the incident raises a national security concern.
Definitely it's a major national security issue, not just national security, but economic as well. The fact that we have all the cable, or literally all the cable landings coming into Ghana, facing one compromise or the other, I think with very limited service on Glo 1, it creates a real challenge because from the seat of presidency to your legislature to the judiciary and all your military and intelligence nerve centers, everybody seems to be in the dark. So huge national security issues. I mean, I would expect that security installations would want to do a post-case analysis of even any potential compromises to their systems while this blackout has happened. With very limited access to the internet, I've tried to see if I could find any evidence of a similar time where we had multiple compromises at the same time on different platforms, because here you have the MTN platform WAX, which is literally taking out. You have Main 1 reporting challenges as well. ACE and SAT3 all seem to also have challenges. So you can't remember a time where we had multiple failures at the same time.
In fact, you're right. I mean, Engineer Chigbe says in his experience as an engineer, he's never seen anything like this before. He said this is highly unusual.
I mean, and so this would require a proper post-mortem.
In all of this, the public have been affected as well. Let's take a listen to some members of the public and how they were affected by disruptions of internet services, as my colleague Blessed Soga reports.
I'm not able to work on my phone. I've not been able to work on my phone. Earlier on, I thought I even had it. This morning, when I bought data, mobile data, so I even thought I had issues with my phone. I realized that it was a network problem. I've worked from home. Like, I've never been able to do anything at all.
Interesting. Which means that today you're not clearing.
I'm not working.
I woke up this morning just to check on my phone and then to do other businesses online. And then I realized that anytime you want to download something, it's not coming at all. So I contacted a few friends, and then they are telling me that the same story. We are all stranded.
So how has that impacted what you do on a daily basis?
Oh, in fact, a lot. Because I work in a health center. Most of our documents, we process them, we send them through online and the rest. So the whole day we couldn't do much.
Yeah, today I've asked my agency Kumasi to buy some items for me, but unfortunately I need items before I confirm it. But when I asked her to snap a picture and send it to me via WhatsApp, she couldn't download it. So as I say to you, I don't know, she bought the items all right, but I don't know whether the items are the right items she bought for me. Yeah, she has given it to a car. I'm just waiting to before I have to see it before I can confirm whether the items are the right items. And it's very, very bad.
So those are some members of the public sharing with us how this challenge with the data and internet services have impacted their work. Now moving on to other stories, the Coalition of Unemployed Trained Teachers have expressed their displeasure in the manner in which the recruitment and postings have been handled by the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service. In a statement, they asserted that even though they had written to the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service, they are yet to receive an official response. Now, let's share with you details of the statement that they've issued. It says, we, the Coalition of Unemployed Teachers, the 2022 batch, wish to express our displeasure and disappointment in the way and manner to which the issues of our recruitment and postings are being handled by the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education. It says it is sad to note that having issued a presser and written officially on 2 occasions to the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education on 21st February 2024, 29th February 2024, and 12th March 2024, respectively, seeking clarification for the delay in our recruitment and equally requesting for the portal to be opened. There has not been any formal response or reply from GES or Ministry of Education for more than 2 weeks and counting. We find this disturbing and worrying and worrisome. The teaching profession is an enviable profession for many Ghanaians these days because of the degree program being introduced into the colleges of education, as well as the immediate recruitment of teachers by GES when they are done and have met all the necessary requirements. Unfortunately, what is happening now is going to throw the image of this enviable profession in tatters. For if actions are not expedited in our recruitment, it may lead to the creation of backlogs as we have in other professions, hence making people lose interest in the field and subsequently deny the Ghanaian child the opportunity to quality education. In light of all of these, we wish to give the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education up to 3rd week of March to recruit us, else we shall advise ourselves accordingly in line with the law of the land. Thank you. And this letter is copied to the Ghana Education Service, Ministry of Education, Parliament Select Committee on Education, civil society organizations, all teacher unions, and the media as well. So that's the statement from them. Now, we're joined on the phone lines by President of the Coalition of Unemployed Trained Teachers for a conversation on this. Thank you for joining us, sir. Murtala Mohammed. Can you explain to us the process of posting for previous years? Okay, so we'll try and bring in Murtala to have a conversation on this, because this has become a major issue. You've heard from some teachers explain to us, I mean, that it's been quite a worrisome situation. They've applied, to be employed, but it's been days and nothing is happening. We'll be speaking to people on the back of this particular story. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be back with more. But just before we take a break, and related to this story, Joint Youth Investigations have revealed how one of the senior high school heads resorted to treating weevil-infested bags of maize supplied by the Free SHS Secretariat with neem leaves to enable the school to feed the students. In our latest hotline documentary, Empty Plates, the Free SHS Promise, Joy News' Kwete Nate visited some senior high schools and report on the grim reality of the quantity of food served to students.
that only a few bags were affected. My observations revealed several bags of maize being treated with neem tree leaf to ward off the pests. Given the critical food shortages, some school heads have conveyed to me their inability to discuss the contaminated maize as there's scarcely enough to feed the students.
If you look at here, I want you to take, I want you to take a view. This is maize infested. It was highly infested. Someone advised us that we can use the neem tree. So yesterday, we put it outside. The boys put it outside.
And these were given to be fed to the children?
Yes, free SHs. And so, they are there a lot. So I'm experimenting. So yesterday we spread it on the ground. We put the neem tree upon it. And we are seeing some reduction and that's what. But is this the work of headmasters?
My empty plate, the Free SS Promise, will be airing on Monday, March 18 on Joy FM Super Morning Show at 8:30 a.m. and on Joy News Channel at 8:30 p.m. Later the same day. This is still The Pulse. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, there's more to share with you. To stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, the process of treating and handling food in such a way as to stop or greatly slow down spoilage and prevent foodborne illnesses while maintaining nutritional value, texture and flavor is topical on many fronts. Everyday decisions such as whether to refrigerate, microwave or cook on the stove are frequently deliberated in households. Now, to provide insight into the subject of food preservation and dispelling myths related to diet, Mrs. Florence Kuchi, Director of the Public Health Department of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and Edem Azuma, who is a registered dietitian. Grateful to you for joining us here. Let me start with you, Florence Kuchi. Now, what are the safest and most effective methods for preserving food at home?
Hello.
Hi, Ms. Kuchi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, once we are getting into the weekend, there's a lot of meals to be cooked at home. So we want to understand what the safest and most effective methods for preserving food at homes are.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. And let me say good afternoon to your cherished listeners. So, talking about food preservation is part of food safety. Because if the food is not preserved well, it loses its safetyness, and then it turns into a different thing altogether. So when one prepares food, there is a way you have to preserve the food. If you are using either the fridge or you are using the freezer. For example, when you prepare food and then you want to save it, you don't put the food with the whole saucepan that you have cooked the food with and just go and put it inside the fridge. It is not done. We have what we call the preservation bowls. They are particular bowls that we use in preserving food in the fridge. So when you prepare your food and then you want to preserve it, first of all, you must ensure that you transfer the food from the saucepan into the preserving bowl and you leave the food to rest for some minutes for it to cool down. So when the food cools down, before you can then transfer it into the fridge or the freezer. You don't just take hot food and then go to put it in the fridge or in the freezer. It will lose its safetyness.
Interesting. So you advise that, what do we do?
So, pardon?
I was asking that once you've laid the foundation, what then do we do to ensure that we keep the food fresh and ensure we limit how food that's spoiled in the house?
Yes, so what we do is, so when you save food in the freezer and then you want to store the food, you transfer the food from the freezer into the fridge, maybe overnight or for some hours. You don't remove the cake or the already caked food that has been freezed with block and then go and put it inside the microwave or go and start boiling it. It is not done. You don't also remove the food from the freezer and then come and put it outside for it to thaw. When you do that, during the thawing process, there could be some growing of microorganisms. That is why it is necessary when you want to store food, you remove it from the freezer and then transfer it into the fridge so that thawing will still take place within the needed temperature.
Oh, okay.
So that it will not lead to growth of microorganisms.
Yes. Okay. So it means that the process by which we remove, frozen food from the freezer and then we put it elsewhere we call it ice block to then drain off is wrong. We have to rather put it in the fridge.
Yes, it's very wrong. For instance, if you want to prepare meat and then you remove the cake meat from the freezer, you don't put it in the kitchen and go to work and come back for it to defrost. Okay. You must remove the cake meat from the freezer and put it in the fridge. And then maybe reduce the temperature of the fridge for thawing to take place in the fridge still within a normal temperature. Because when you remove the meat or the cake food from the freezer and put it down, and then it is going through thawing, there could be some form of compromisation with the food, and contamination will take place. Then it can lead to food poisoning.
Okay.
Yes. So food must be stored within a specific temperature.
Okay.
Yes.
And that is given to us by the fridge, because if you put it in the fridge, you are still keeping it in a very cold environment, but you want the thawing to be to increase so that you could get the meat or the thing you're looking for quite faster. But if you put it in the fridge, how long will it take in the fridge for you to get the state, to get it to the state you want before you can start cooking?
So that is why if you know that this food that is in the freezer or the meat that is in the freezer, I will use it tomorrow. You remove it this night and bring it to the fridge so that the time that it will be due to be used, it will have been thawed properly for you to use it.
Okay.
Or you regulate the temperature of the fridge or the freezer to a higher temperature that can help in thawing it for you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me bring in Edem Azuma, who is a dietitian. Edem, thank you for joining us here. We've heard people say that eating at night can get you to gain weight. Is there any truth in this claim?
Okay. Hi. So the concentration on the timing of eating when it comes to weight gain is not as important as looking at the quantities of the food you are eating or the portions of the food you are eating. Because there are some people that no matter how much they try, their eating will come at a very late time, maybe due to work or other issues. So it is important that if you know you are not eating early, then you look for food options that are good for the kind of nutrition goal that you want to meet.
Okay. So can I just say that I'm reducing my food to this? How much small or heavy should my eating be if I'm going to eat at night?
Okay. So it depends on the food choice. For example, this is just an example. It's not suited for everyone. But if your goal is to lose weight and you happen to find yourself in a situation where you have to eat late, then we would go in for more of the non-starchy carbohydrates. That's the vegetables. So, for example, if you want to eat banku at night and soup, then we'll perhaps advise that you have more of the soup and you have very little of the banku, or if possible, you could, go through the night without the banku. You can have the soup and then the protein portion, which can be your fish or your meat, and then you just make sure that doesn't become a habitual thing. So it doesn't mean if you eat late one night, then the next morning you develop a pot belly or you grow fat, because weight gain is about eating more calories or having more energy than you need to use to do your daily activities.
I mean, what if I eat and exercise? So yeah, I'll eat my heavy bowl of banku or fufu, but I'll exercise before I sleep. Is that another way to probably stay healthy and still eat what I want to eat?
Okay, so sometimes exercising right after eating might not be advised because of the kind of meals you've had. Okay. So you can't see, you don't see yourself eating fufu at 7:30 p.m. and making sure you exercise enough before you go to bed around 9 p.m. That's not very feasible. But what happens is that the exercise should be something you should do every time, not just for one meal, that because I ate late today, I'm exercising. You should more like something that is part of your daily activities. So you choose that you're going to have 30 minutes of exercise every day, depending on the time you eat or the choice of meal that you have.
Okay. Now, so someone just sent a text and says, well, I do sometimes eat fufu around 8 p.m. and I sleep around 2 a.m. Am I on the right path?
He said he eats fufu around 8 p.m. and sleeps at 2 a.m.
Yes.
Okay. Does he get adequate amount of sleep? Because when it comes to your nutrition and your weight, stress is also a factor, and not having enough sleep is also a factor. So if maybe you are staying awake because you're eating late, that you are waiting for the food to digest, why not eat earlier so that you can have adequate sleep, 6 to 8 hours as an adult, to reduce the stress?
Okay. So I mean, after eating all of that, you need to find out that you are sleeping well as well. Let me go back to Madam Kuchi, and I have some interaction with her on this. So I mean, we've been speaking about how to save, preserve your food. We are talking about what to eat and all of that. Now, when I was talking to you about food spoilage, we had to talk about something important. How can a viewer identify that my food is getting spoiled? And again, how do you do that in different types of food at home, like fresh produce, like dairy, meat, and others?
Okay, thank you very much. So let's start with canned food. For instance, you've gone to purchase your canned food product, be it canned tomatoes, baked beans, or any canned food. The container that the food is being canned with, the inner has been galvanized. So as soon as you open it, there's a reaction between the container and then the air outside. So the galvanized that has been put inside the container start reacting. So when you open the tin food and then you take the portion that you want to use and the remaining is left, you don't take the canned food and then go to put it in the fridge to preserve it with the pen. Reason being that as soon as you open it, you see that there's reaction. You can see some discoloration around the neck of the container. That is growth of microorganisms, and it can have its way into the food and it can lead to food contamination. So when you open a tin food, when you take the portion you want to use and then the remaining is left, you transfer it from the tin and then put it in a preservation bowl to preserve it in the fridge. That is the best way to go.
So you don't have to keep that in the freezer.
You can put it in the freezer, but you cannot put it with the tin.
Oh, so you have to pour it. You pour the content.
Yes, you have to pour the content out of the tin.
Oh,
You don't save it with the tin, because when you open the tin, there's reaction between the inner tin and then the air.
Oh.
And that is where a microorganism growth takes place. So when you open it, you must transfer from the tin into a preservation bowl to preserve. Another one is when you are going to buy tin food and you see that the container is bloating. Sometimes the tin can be bloating, but it is not a size. When you see a bloating tin, it means there's some compromising with the food inside the tin, so you don't buy it. The second one is a dense container. When you are going to buy food, tin food, and then you see that the container is dented inside. It has fallen down and then there's some dent on the container. When the container is dense, there's a reaction between the food in the container and then there's a reaction between the container and the food. So you don't buy tin food that are dented. That is another one.
Wow.
Then the food that we put in the fridge, how do we say, can we identify that this food is being compromised or is getting spoiled? You can see that there are some growth of fungi on the food. So when you see growth of fungi on the food, it means the food is being compromised. There are microorganisms in the food, and that is the beginning of spoilage. You see that the surface of the food has changed. Sometimes to the taste of the food changed. So these are some of the physical things that you look out for when food is getting spoiled in the fridge.
Okay. Very, very, very interesting. But you didn't tell us about the fresh produce and the meat as well. We've spoken about the dairy, the fact that you need to pour it. But what about the fresh food? What about the meat, the meat that we all do keep in the freezers and use?
So the meat will also change color. That is another one.
Okay.
The meat will also change color, either into blackish or greenish. That is another one. And then there will be some form of smell coming out from the meat. A healthy meat should not have a smell. It shouldn't smell profusely. When something is getting rotten, you can smell a rotten scent from the meat. That is another thing. Talking about the dairy food, that one too, if it is liquid, you can see the formation of fungi on it, or you can see some fomaker forming on top of the dairy food. That is milk. So when you see it in that manner, it means it has lost its safeness, and then it has become poison. So when you take it into your system, you are definitely going to run diarrhea. Yes, or you have some form of stomach disturbance.
Okay.
And food poison is very fatal. You can easily lose your life through food poison.
Okay.
For instance, let's take vegetables. If you prepare salad must be eaten cold. You don't prepare salad in the morning and keep it outside till evening, and you still be selling it. That is a very key component of food poison in the system. So if you want to prepare salad and sell it, you should pass through the cold chain system. It should be in a favorable temperature. You shouldn't prepare salad and keep it outside and sell from morning till evening. It's better to keep the products down. When somebody comes to buy the food and wants salad, then you prepare it in that manner and give it to the person, than to prepare it down and then you will be selling.
So we know people who are selling this kind of stuff, at the transport terminals. Who checks those people? Because you're saying we shouldn't do it, but these are the same things that these people sell to us when we join the buses.
So, the environmental health officers are there checking all these things. But the issue is, we cannot be at all places at the same time. As we are at one place checking to put in food safety measures, somebody is at another place doing a different thing. So, for instance, what we are doing is a very good thing. It's an education. A lot of people are listening to it. People who didn't know are now knowing it. So tomorrow when they are buying food and they see that the food that has been sold to them, there is a salad that has been prepared for God knows when it was prepared and put it in. They are likely not to eat the salad. They'll just remove it and put it aside and eat their food. For instance, me, I don't buy salad outside. That is me. And I'm not saying people should not buy salad outside. But when you are going, it is proper to put the raw materials down. So when somebody comes to buy food and the person needs salad, then you chop the salad ingredients and bring them together and prepare the salad for the person.
Interesting.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, let me bring in Adam here. Adam, from where Madam Florence Kuchi ended, we know that in selling wachi and all of that, they do have this prepared salad there. How do we handle it? Is that also as dangerous as the prepared salad that she's talking about?
Yes. So I think that it's when we educate them about that they need to keep the vegetables fresh, we need to provide them with a way of keeping the vegetables fresh. So if they need to be under a certain temperature, we need to give them local solutions on how to do that. There are some water sellers that they sell very fast. So some of the advice we can give is that they should find ice block that would be in a kind of a cooler for their vegetables. And then they shouldn't cut so much for the whole day. So they should cut it according to, they should monitor how they sell it and cut it accordingly. So if your rush hour is between 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and most of your customers come, you can just cut a few vegetables down in the cooler and sell as you go. And then during the downtime, a bit in the afternoon that you don't have enough people coming around, then so that the vegetables do not sit on morning, so they cut all the vegetables at home and they bring it to their selling point for morning, and then the whole morning that vegetable is there till someone comes to buy it around 1 p.m. or around 2 p.m. That is not healthy at all. So if as the environmental officers go around, they need to provide local cost-saving solutions to this, because people still want to enjoy vegetables with their meals.
So you're saying they need to provide, those systems that can help them to keep the vegetables fresh. So when someone comes to buy, whose responsibility? What kind of thing do they need to provide?
Yes. So we the educators need to provide cost-saving solutions, because most of these sellers have access to these coolers, and some of them even need to sell water alongside the food. So if we can give them solutions where they can use those similar products, and then they can put in these measures of maybe putting some ice and then catching the vegetables into the cooler to maintain the temperature. And as the viewers listen, if they go to a vendor and the vendor is not practicing these things, then they don't buy. So, and they tell them the reasons they don't buy. Or I don't buy because I think your vegetables have been here since morning, and I don't think it will be healthy for me. But if you should do this, I'm more likely to buy your vegetables. I think it will encourage the vendors to do that, because they don't want to lose their customers. And it will also help the people purchasing the food to have healthy options. Because there have been so many incidences and cases where people have eaten out and then they ended up in the hospital. And it can be life-threatening sometimes.
Okay. All right. Now, there's this debate about the fact that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Is that true? And if it is, does that mean that when I enjoy a good breakfast, I can forgo the rest of meals in a day?
Yes. So the breakfast being the main, is the best meal of the day. It was an advertising program to push proper nutrition in the morning.
Okay.
Because most people were skipping breakfast. But it all depends on your nutritional goals, really. And the fact that most of the time in people's daily activities, when they start the day, they work, let's say, extra harder during the day. But as the day ends, productivity decreases. So the goal is that if people should have a healthy breakfast, is to boost their work, one, and then secondly, the energy they've taken in the calories will be used throughout the day. Instead of working so hard and then getting to the end of the day where you are not really using up your energy, your physical activity is low, then you get eat heavily. So basically the body is not using up that energy that is taking in. And when the body doesn't use the energy taken in, it's stored as fat. And most of the time, the fat is stored around the central part of our body, the stomach area. And those central obesity that we call it, is associated with most of the non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and the rest. So we are encouraging breakfast because of these reasons. Not because if I eat breakfast, I can skip the rest of the day. No. It is important to have 3 healthy meals in a day, depending on your nutritional goals. But across board, in managing most nutritional cases, we encourage our clients. We encourage our clients that they should have 3 main meals during the day.
Okay. And does juicing fruit and vegetables provide the same health as eating them whole?
Okay. So sometimes when we juice, we are tempted to throw away the chaff or the fiber portion of it, and some of that portion provides certain characteristics. Like it provides fiber one. Some of them also provide this antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. So if you juice and then you sieve it and you throw that part of the fruit away, you do not get the whole fruit. But some people are able to juice and have the whole fruit in the juice with the fiber or the chaff, as people refer to it, and they might get all the advantages of that fruit or that vegetable, as compared to people who sieve off the chaff and just have the juice. Sometimes they do not have access to all the properties and benefits of that fruit or vegetable.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Now, Mrs. Kuchi, before we leave, this is the beginning of the weekend. What sort of advice will you give to all of us as we begin the weekend?
Okay, so what I would give to all of us as we begin the weekend is we should spend the weekend in moderation. Whatever we are doing, we should do it in moderation. But we should be careful with the things we buy out there. When you are going to buy any food and the thing is packaged, if it's a packaged food, first of all, you must look out for the labeling. Ensure that it is something that you can read and understand. Check for the manufacturing and then expiring date of the product. And then check if Food and Drug Authority has given license to the people. The person selling the things, it will also be seen in the label. So these are the things that you should look out for when you are going to buy packaged food. Then when you are going to buy food outside, it is your duty to ask the person selling the food. Either he or she has undergone medical screening from the assembly with the environmental health unit. Because to have food safety, you can have healthy food, but if you yourself you are not healthy, you can contaminate the food and then transmit diseases to people. So we are pleading that people who are also selling food outside should also do the needful. They should undergo medical screening and know that they are fit to sell food to the public before they do that. People who prepare salad should ensure that they put it in the cold container or they prepare as and when if the need be. This is what I have for the public as we go out for the weekend.
All right, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Mrs. Florence Kuchi is the Director of Public Health at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. And Edem Azuma is a dietitian. Edem, so what will be your advice to listeners, viewers as well as we enter into the weekend? I guess I lost Edem there. Edem Azuma is a dietitian. Well, so that has been it. Let's move on from there and still stay with the food, sector, because producers and kinky enthusiasts in Teshi and Osu are challenging the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Brian Achampon's assertion that kinky prices are decreasing due to government efforts under the Planting for Food and Jobs program. Now, despite being a long-standing affordable staple, recent maize price fluctuations have forced producers to reconsider pricing, resulting in higher cost for consumers. While the government aims to stabilize prices through increased food production, local producers maintain that kinky prices remain high, contradicting the minister's claim. My colleague Michael Owusu has the rest of the story.
Okay, there's a lot of maize out there in the system. Why price of maize is not going up, and indeed for the first time you see that the price of kinky, which never happens, is actually going down. We are on the ground.
That is the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Echampon. He highlighted two key points. First, a decrease in the price of a bag of maize, and secondly, a reduction in the price of a ball of kinky.
We are now in Teshi to assess the truth in that particular statement.
We start from the kinky factory run by twins, Akwele and Akwoko Akita. Today, Akwoko Akita is in charge of the kinky business. Without hesitation, she walks me through the various sizes of kinky available along with their corresponding price tags.
Come here, in your hole.
4.
Okay.
3 cities, 4 cities.
So she tells me she sells the kinky 3 cities and 4. So if I'm 3 cities no, okay, 4 cities no. Or be an technology or be
3 cities.
3 cities no, you'll be. So this is 3 cities, okay. What about 4 cities 1, 2? I will do the fiscal comparison between the two. So she's now getting us the 4 cities one. Interesting. Well, from what it looks like, they're both almost the same. Wait, Ona.
Eko chief eko. So I feel like I could ask no coffee.
Well, with the naked eye, it appears that both looks almost the same. But she just told me that the weight is different.
In the kitchen, Akwele Akita, in the company of other family members, busily rolls the condo into balls. She disputes the minister's claim that the price of a bag of maize is down.
Price high. Ablenya bashi to mo first school ka bele ba bashi ke populuku ba new one ba price bashi wo bene ba she hie ke ya ke tinwe fi ochi bia ne new one ke ba e ba shikra ka ke 6 million wo bene ba she hie ke wa na wo ya bele 12 million 10 million ke se
akola ka shi afi NCA menyenye ho ne hio abele kutoku
ono me wa bele wo hele 65 shibia ne wo here abele 8 ni di 800.
Still in Teshi, we visited Patience Aku Adote. She told Joy News the price of maize and the prevailing economic conditions forced her to stop selling a ball of kenke for 2 cedis.
Last year ne abele emiwa. She was mommy na kan me wo come about ball 2 cedi. She no na ka bele jala wa ball 3 ke 4 ball. Me he wo me ko get ba ne ke ba ke le aka ball 2 olololo. She call we enyo e on na kan.
Okay, so she tells me that because of the increment in the price of the bag of maize, they've had to do an important exercise to investigate whether the people are going to accept the new prices that they've been forced to sell their kenke at. Well, they started from 2 cities, which was a year ago, managed to get to 3 cities.
From Teshi, we moved to Osu. Just maybe, the price of kenke had fallen there.
Let's put that to a test. We're currently on Osu. Let me find out from this woman how much she's selling a ball of kenke now. Come. 3 cities. 2 cities no be me. Feminine. What? Nibi Jalawa. Ni manage.
Yes.
Wow.
About 4 cities, 5 cities.
Well, Niponian Bonmodion, I get 3 cities. So, they tell me that I won't get a ball of kenke for 2 cities.
The same ball of kenke that is sold for 2 cities just a year ago is now being sold for 3 cities. And that's even the cheapest you find in the area. Esther Mate runs this kenke house.
Yeah, I fear no who me, no man come here in your hole.
Oh, no me 2 cities to talk about 3 cities.
Mini
oh Benny Bijilewa.
Maybe to more mini.
Onaka abele dani TNT lehun oba enu oba pay workers lehun oba calculate name fe OJM.
For kenke lovers, the price change won't deter them from purchasing. However, they feel the strain of paying an extra cedi for the same ball compared to before.
Many ball come in and about 50 pesos. First, 30 pesos, I about 50. I about 50, and once 50 pesos. I about 2 cedi. First, we have 2 cedi in no. She didn't be taken when you feel 3 cedi.
Wait, how much kinky did you buy?
4 cedis.
4 cedis. Is it big enough?
I'll manage.
I mean, how long have you been eating kinky?
Oh, quite long.
A year ago, 3 cedis was just enough for you.
Yeah.
But now it doesn't appear that 3 cedis.
No, not at all.
But now your 4 cedis is fine for you.
Not really fine, but I'll manage.
Okay. But have you bought kinky outside of Teshi before?
Yeah.
How much do they sell at 4 cedis too?
Yeah, others even sell it at 5 cedis.
5 cedis.
Yeah.
Kinky prices seem to be more affordable in Teshi and Osu compared to other communities where it is selling for 5 cedis per ball. However, overall, the price of kinky remains high, and producers don't plan to reduce it anytime soon, as long as economic conditions stay the same.
Thank you. So, if you don't have 11 Ghana cedis at least, you're not eating the simplest or cheapest of kinky and fish. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
So my colleague Michael Ashale there with that report, but he joins me in studio to broaden the conversation on the hike in price of some Ghanaian staples, especially on the kinky. Now, Michael, so you went to 3 places.
Yeah.
Teshi,
yes,
Osu, and where else?
And then we checked some of the plush areas, right?
Okay.
So we started right from this area, Greta Estates area. Then we came to even Osu. In Osu, you have some of the places where you have some people that are
it's like a bourgeois.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we came to Kokomleni. So from what we found out, at least in the Ga communities around the sea, you would realize that kinky is at its cheapest form. Even with that, that was 3 cedis minimum.
Okay.
And let's start with the claims of the minister. 2 major claims. First, the price of maize, a bag of maize, has gone down because of the influx of maize.
Okay.
And then secondly, because of that, the price of kinky is expected to go down.
And he says it's reducing, and he says for the first time, it hasn't happened before.
Yes.
For the first time, it is reducing.
It is reducing, okay. So we put those claims to the women. First of all, where do you buy your claim? You heard from our Auntie Akwele, who tells us that the price of a bag of maize has rather gone up.
Okay.
That previously, when she was younger, what happens is that when maize is out of season, it becomes expensive. But when it's now in season, the prices come down.
Okay.
But while she now mans the kinky factory in Teshi, that has not happened.
Okay.
When the prices end for a plant season, say at 600 cedis per bag, it just continues from there. When the next planting season comes, there's bumper harvest, nothing changes. So
last year and this year, how much was she buying for last year? How much is she buying today? Has there been an increase or reduction?
There has been an increase for her.
Okay.
And the reason she explains to me that she's had to take a drastic measure, that even though she knows she's selling for the least of people in society, she's had to take that hard decision to still increase the price of a ball of kinky from 2 cedis to 3 cedis. And even because it's even more hard, they have considered to add 4. Previously, it was just 2 cedis, nothing more. Now they've had 3 cedis and 4 cedis in addition to that. And that's the case along all the coastal communities.
Okay.
So when you move away from there, that is when you begin to see 4 cedis as the norm and then 5 Ghana cedis as the norm.
So at the coastal, the least is 3 cedis.
3 cedis.
And then we have 4 cedis.
4 cedis now.
Away from there, when you come a bit into the middle,
yes,
then you have 4 cedis as the least, and 5 cedis.
5 cedis.
Okay.
So it depends on your preference. But for many people as well, you heard from some of the people who buy kinky a lot. They are okay buying 3 cedis, but if it was 2 cedis, they would have preferred it that much. They love it so much that they will buy it at whatever price is given to them. But the claim that because we have so much maize in the system, the price of a ball of kinky is expected to either go down or has gone down, that is not happening anytime soon. Right, even in Osu, where big kinky factory around the Papaya area, they tell you that there's nothing like that going to happen. Again, because we've seen the conversations about transport fares and all of that. Some of them source their maize from Techiman. So if the maize is going to come out there from Techiman with these big long trucks, you expect to pay more for diesel. And because of that, or add all of that expenses, we went further, right? That we've heard rumors about selling shito. All the women we spoke to, every single person we spoke to, tell us that it's something they have considered, but they don't feel it's ethical yet to go ahead and do that. They've always seen shito as a free accompaniment, free gift to eating your komi, for instance. So it's not something, but if there's a strong push for it, they'll be happy to actually do it because
nobody's going to push for them to sell it. Anyway, so if the minister is claiming that maize prices are cheaper and consumers are not feeling it, then it means along the line there's been some the factors that play along the value chain may have caused this increment at the end, the end user point, because it's from the farmer. Someone will transport it, will sell it to someone in the market person will sell it to the kinky person. The kinky person will then prepare it into the kinky you and I will go and buy.
Exactly.
So it's the value chain that we need to check.
There's possibly that, because in the last woman that spoke in the report that I filed, she tells us where she sources it from and why a critical component like transport. We know the main component of transport again is fuel. So once you have that, then there's a possibility that she can consider saying that we can stay at 3 cities for a long time. All these women rule out going back to 2 cities. It's not going to happen. No matter the season that they are in, we are going forward, and that's what we know. We can keep the 3 cities for as long as our other components remain the same. So if the bag of maize is not going to escalate, if the other things, the pepper, the cost of pepper, onions, tomatoes, and then fuel all remain the same, then they will definitely be happy to have a conversation about maintaining the 3 Ghana cities for as long as they can.
Interesting. So for now, we can conclude from the trader's point of view that there has not been any reduction in kinky prices.
They're not considering
and no reduction in maize prices.
Yes.
Okay. We'd have to find out why this is the case. Because if the minister is saying so, the minister probably has a certain data that he's saying so. If it is not reflected, then something is wrong along the value chain. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is still the pause. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. We'll definitely have a chat on this to find out why this is the case. That, the minister, per the data he has, thinks the price of maize, are coming down. Yet, on the end user point, maize prices are not coming down. And kinky obviously has not reduced. It's still, it has moved from 2 cities to 3 cities now. And at some of the places, you get it between 4 and 5 Ghana cedis, depending on which geographical location you find yourself. Interesting. We'll come back to this. This is still the pause. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Now let's return to our first story, where partial internet and data blackout in recent days has seen the mobilization of the telecom operators in the country in full gear to restore the service that is biting hard at businesses and the public. Now, outages on multiple submarine optic fiber cables incident has crippled the ability of the telcos to provide the public with reliable internet, data, and voice services. We've heard from the National Communications Authority. We've heard from the telcos as to what they're doing to restore these services. But let's speak to someone with knowledge in the industry. Dr. Emmanuel Freeman is head of Computer Science Department at the Ghana Communication Technology University. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
What's your own reading of this development that has crippled? I'm sure you've been impacted as well.
Yes. It is a very good step that the telcos are currently taking in the country in our attempt to get our internet back to us in our various workplaces and homes and on our smartphones. I think this is an international call, not only Ghana. A lot of the fiber cables through the marine has been disrupted through submarines, which cut most of the cables. And the advantage of handling top-level network infrastructure topologies using what we call the mesh topology serves as our fallback when there are disruptions in our internet lines through the marine cabling. So there is hope from some signals and data from East Africa, some also coming in from the southern part of Africa, and others through Portugal, through Germany, UK, and I think somewhere East Africa. So, of course, most of the telcos are relaying to those networks, which will help us to get back to track with most of the bandwidth and services to our phones and computers.
So the challenge is that a submarine, cause all of this problem.
Yes,
Someone will ask, why do we rely on say, international partners for such a crucial service? Can't we develop a homegrown service provider of a sort in Ghana?
That would be quite a challenge with the current infrastructure that we have. Then we need to be investing much into huge radio and space connectivity, which will be so much of a challenge. But I think the safest, which has been the most reliable and cost-effective, has been the fiber optic through marine, all the way from some from UK and from some from Portugal, some also from the eastern and the southern Africa. I think that is our surest way for now. It will be difficult to get all those infrastructures in our sub-region for now. It calls for huge funds and capital to get this thing set up. Yeah.
But isn't it something that is worth considering, that we probably have an African solution of a sort, so that we don't need to rely on cabling traveling from all the way UK, America, or Portugal, whatever, into our continent and our country?
Yes, I think it is a very good thing for us to reconsider in our time. And I think this is a way, of course, to most of us in the industry to go back to the drawing board and renew our structure. In fact, it is a good thing to reconsider.
But first of all, what is needed if we want to build such a network so that we would stop relying on, data traveling from all the way UK and America or Portugal or Germany into our country? What's needed, and how difficult will it be for us to set it up?
Okay, so all this goes through some level of protocols as well as international recognition with world-class standards to get some of these things accepted in our continent. Critical among them is to know the ownership of the internet. Nobody owns the internet. But it's deregulated globally by ICANN. We need to align with some standardization. Earlier, as I said earlier, what we need to do as technical people in the cyber and the internet space is to re-engineer how best we can own our own network infrastructure owned by the African continent and get ourselves owners of this infrastructure. That is what we should be thinking. Of course, it's quite expensive, intensive, also pass through a lot of governance and global standardization to get acceptance in our sub-region. So, we can do something about it. As we speak, we can only rely on the other protocols to other countries that can be routed to our continent. And rest assured, a day for maximum 2 days to be enough for it to be restored.
So you're saying that in the next 2 days, probably full internet service may be restored in the country?
Yes, please. Matters of this nature, every time it happens, we also reroute the connection. I think internet users can confirm that now the connection are quite improved for the past 4 hours, and something that is called. So we are getting a lot of data from the southern part of Africa, some also from the eastern part of Africa, throwing into our sub-region, and it's good call to jubilate, at least for now. But we should be rest assured that connectivity will be restored.
Aren't there cause for people to be afraid of data leakage or data theft in this, break in internet connectivity in the country?
No. Data connectivity and storages of data in data house will not be with a high level of connection. Just aware of education, then network infrastructure passes through what is called the protocols. And these protocols have got various standardizations and IOC that regulate some of these data centers. So once there's no internet passing, that means that the data should be updated. That portion, that is, and most sets have got very good firewalls that defend most of these attacks or situations that possibly may arise. Especially at the top of our country, we are very sure that our fiber and is very solid. The data going in, the data goes out, and we should be rest assured that we will in each of data. With one line break, the on is the other of the world, the other part of the country, to really each bandwidth the other that we have got this connection through the submarine capital.
Now, you are in the sector, so I'm sure you should know a lot of it. Earlier you mentioned how this cables got disrupted, probably a submarine. Is that what you are hearing as fact, that a submarine caused it, or what do we know of what really brought about these disruptions?
Yes. One safest way to relate the from other parts of the world to outside has been the submarine, which through marine cabling. Of course, radio cannot obtain especially throwing a lot of connection from UK, Africa. Look at the distance. So cabling are quite reliable. So the wiring pass through the marine, and most of the time, disruption that we is not even the huge trees in the sea, then through marine. So that being the challenge in the masses of this. That is the prime cause of the cut out.
Interesting. Yesterday, some people were of the view that it could be a deliberate action by some people. We don't know who. Once you have a lot of knowledge in the area, could we ascribe this to a deliberate action by some people, to have intentionally did this to harm whoever?
Well, much of this, issues cause for a lot of collisions here and there, but in the reality, there is connection. There isn't. So the connection that must show signals to the other parts of the world is not coming. So if you are not getting signals, means something might block it. So it's mere fallacy to say some people are deliberately cut off. We are not getting it. I think the one part of cabling is this challenges. Vodafone now Telecom have it, NCA. All these tests are facing similar challenges in different degrees. It's falling on their other partners, throwing into other parts of the country to that situation.
So we can't blame, or we can't say that it was a targeted action by somebody or some people, right?
No, not at all. From where I sit and what I've read and following the missions through NCA and the connection to our fiber I can completely say that it's a disruption in our marine cable.
Now, I read that the West Africa Cable System, WACS, which is WACS, the Africa Coast to Europe, ACE, the SAT-3, and Main 1 were among the system cables that observers said were affected. Now, some people argue that the National Communications Authority should have anticipated something like this. Is there any possibility that anybody could have known that this was going to happen?
Well, there could be monitoring on the network which could have raised alarm earlier if they were monitoring the network. Yes, they could have seen, especially an attempt, but matters of this usually happens like speed of light. Just marine submarine just blowing out get it caught. So sometimes it becomes difficult. But what should warn other marine users, especially where some of these lines pass, need to be safeguarded, and we're supposed to get the signals when people are attempting to attack some of the cabling anytime. I think we could do better. Internet space, for one, I must say, we can do better. But because of this, sometimes it's students that usually, we can't do much about it.
Well, so as you said, if someone was monitoring, we could have picked signals of attempts on the lines.
Exactly.
This is a national security issue. So it means that someone slept on his or her job, right?
Yes, but it's not a call of the NCA or more or less our local, connectivity issue. This international, disconnection with the West African line and other lines going in from other services like one and others. So I would say that the only surety in this connection is really connection with the other lines to connectivity, which most circles make this arrangement even when part of the protocols. So it's something that we can. So.
Okay. All right. I'm grateful to you for joining us with your side of the story and helping us understand how this is done. Grateful to you for joining, sir. Dr. Emmanuel Freeman is head of Computer and Science Department at the Ghana Communication Technology University, GTUC there. Now, the Information Service Department says it is facing serious financial challenges in the delivery of its mandate. The department, which works under the Ministry of Information as a principal public relations outfit of government to disseminate government policies, programs, and activities to citizens. Speaking to Joy News, Acting Director of the department, Dr. Winifred Nafisa Mahama, says barely 30% of their annual budget get funded.
Started to write 2 hours. Yes, it's improved quite recently, but it's nothing to write about.
Not beyond 50%?
No,
not up to that?
Not even up to 30%, so... Yes, information services have suffered over the years. At a point, it's an agency under the Ministry of Information. At a point, there's no Ministry of Information, and so it's pushed to another department. At a point, it comes back to the other. It affects the department. It affects how we flow and how we work. You understand? But you see, we are in an era where information and communication runs governance. So if your structures are not empowered, if your structures are not in place, you'll be working and nobody will see or hear or anything. You understand? Information is what runs every governance system. COVID should tell you that if you falter in your communication, then you've really not done anything, because we're all locked down, we're all in the home. But what was keeping us is the information that was going on, the right information. So it tells you the importance of information, and it tells you the importance of building or getting your structures in place to be able to support the governance structure or governance system to be able to work.
She also noted that the department has only 20 information vans dotted across the 216 assemblies across the country.
We have less than 20 vans working.
Less than 20,
yes.
Scattered across the country.
Yes.
In the headquarters, how many do you have?
In the headquarters, we have about 4 or something. Yeah, about 4.
Which means that approximately most of your offices in the districts, municipal and metropolitan assemblies don't have the van. How are they coping?
That's what I'm saying, that we pool. You understand? For instance, if we have to do a public relations, a campaign in a particular region, we pool. You understand? And then do the work and then we go back.
Meanwhile, Information Minister Designate Fatima Abubakar has promised that government will procure some 40 vans for the Information Service Department by end of this month. Let's see how this materializes. This is still the pulse. Now, moving on, former Chief Justice Georgina Wood is pledging her support towards strengthening the social protection system as she identifies the struggles of vulnerable in the society. Speaking at the launch of the Boamimai Ghana Foundation at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the former Chief Justice urged Ghanaians to donate items they no longer use to support the needy in ensuring justice and fairness for all.
Boamimai Ghana Foundation is a non-governmental organization aimed at providing basic needs to the vulnerable in society. Speaking during the launch of the foundation at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, former Chief Justice Georgina Wood urged Ghanaians to help protect the social welfare of the needy by donating some items to the foundation.
As former Chief Justice, I have dedicated my life to upholding the law and ensuring fairness and justice for all Ghanaians, regardless of their economic circumstances. However, in addition to a strong legal framework, I have realized that vulnerable communities truly flourish where education thrives and individuals reach their full potential. How do they reach that potential? They do so because the socio-economic gaps are reduced with the introduction of foundational resources, often with support of visionary philanthropists. This is the philosophy that inspires the Boamimai Ghana Foundation, a vision for greater opportunity for all, regardless of the circumstances they were born into. It is a vision that I wholeheartedly embrace and support.
Director of Boamimai Ghana Foundation, Mawena Dumotreba, pledged that the foundation will help provide the basic needs of the less privileged in society.
Our founder, Clemence Jato, is of the view that we don't have to wait for natural disasters and only rely on the National Disaster Management Authority to support communities when there are difficulties and challenges. We have an opportunity as individuals to go into our closets, to go into our garages, to look for whatever it is we have that perhaps we are no longer using. The Boamimai Ghana Foundation will take it, refurbish it, and redistribute it to those who have. So that is really the philosophy behind the foundation.
The vision of Boamimai Ghana Foundation is to create empowered communities through giving in support of local, regional, and national development. Ramat Bashir's reports for Joy News.
Well, so that's from Boamimai there. Let's help to help the needy in society. Now, away from that, the Conference of Heads of Basic Schools is asking the government to promptly pay the utility bills of basic schools to reduce the burden on school authorities. The conference says its members who are indebted to utility service providers have had water, electricity and sanitation services truncated following the government's failure to settle the bills. Ashanti Regional Chairman Christopher Barnier tells Joy News the failure of the government to absorb the utility bills of basic schools, as has been the case with second cycle schools, amount to neglect. An interior report.
The Conference of Heads of Basic Schools cites the delayed release of capitation grant, infrastructure deficits, lack of textbooks, especially for kindergarten pupils, and unhygienic sanitary facilities as some of the pressing needs of basic schools. They also cite high insecurity as well as encroachment of school lands among challenges. COPS accuses government of paying too much attention to second cycle education at the expense of basic level. Ashanti Regional Chairman Christopher Barnier, while addressing members at a regional executive committee meeting, asked the government to ease basic schools from the burden of high utility bills.
Our schools are grappling with significant infrastructure deficits that affect the overall learning experience. Examples include poor toilet facilities in our schools, the need for painting and renovation of school buildings. Additionally, there is a dire need for essential furniture, such as tables and chairs for both learners and teachers. We employ the government to recognize the pivotal role that adequate infrastructure plays in creating a conducive learning environment. The standard-based curriculum has been in use for 3 years. The non-supply of textbooks for junior and primary schools is affecting the basic schools. Urgent intervention is needed to address this shortage. Schools are burdened with the challenge of paying utility bills, adding strain to their financial resources. We appeal to government to take responsibility for settling all utility bills in our schools. Some are even owing 20,000 water bills. Others are owing 10,000 and so on. So if a school is paying about 500 Ghana cedis a month, and the capitation grant it receives is 800 Ghana cedis. That is where the population is very high. How can we pay the utility bills?
The Conference of Heads of Basic Schools also wants government to be consistent in the release of capitation grant, which they describe as meager, while making an attempt to improve teaching and learning outcomes at basic schools.
The capitation grant release do not adhere to the agreed 10 cedis per child per year. This poses a significant obstacle to effective school management. On Gallop grants extension, we strongly advocate for the extension of Gallop grants to all schools nationwide.
Meanwhile, the group is proposing a meeting with the Education Minister to address their concerns. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oiminteria reporting.
Nestled along the coastline of Abanze in Ghana's central region stands a silent guardian to centuries of history, Fort Amsterdam, formerly known as Fort Comantin. It was constructed by the British in 1631. However, as the pages of time turned, its purpose darkened, transforming into a hub of the transatlantic slave trade.
Morning casts its warm glow over the shores of Abanze. The aged stones of Fort Amsterdam stands as a silent witness to an interesting history. With each step across the weathered grounds, James Akufo, the caretaker of the fort, reveals the main reason why the fort was built.
Amsterdam was built by the British in the year 1631.
Okay.
And it was named Fort Comantin. It is an English word, that Comantin.
Comantin.
It's an
so
English
initially
word.
It wasn't Fort Amsterdam.
Initially it was Fort Amsterdam as at now. Why? Because they had a war with the Dutch. The British had a war with the Dutch in 1638. So through that war, the Dutch collected the fort from the British. And then here they changed Fort Comantin to become Fort Amsterdam, mostly for merchant, not for slavery.
Oh, okay.
So this is the special fort among all the forts we have in the country.
Oh, okay.
And also you can see it is only the fort you can find on the highway.
Indeed, the fort walls holds echoes of a darker past, where the clinking of chains and the anguished cries of the enslaved once pierced the air. James recounts the tales of human suffering and resilience, painting a vivid picture of the atrocities endured within these very walls.
We have reached the condemned cells.
Oh, okay.
This is for the men only. That is what we say, the stubborn slaves.
Oh, okay.
Though they are not stubborn, but because they wanted to free themselves, that's why they call them stubborn. And also they have some juju powers within them.
Which is the slaves?
Yes, some of them.
Oh, okay.
So those people, when they shoot them, the bullet could not penetrate the body.
So they send them here instead?
All right, and when they shoot them with knife also, the knife got bent. This room here, there's no air, there's no light.
Just
Even
this?
This is not the original.
Oh, okay.
The original one was heavy metal.
Wow.
Which covers all this place, and it has just small hole, and even it has covered in front.
Wow.
So inside there, there's no air, there's no light.
So
and
if
when
you're able to survive for days?
You can't survive. That's why they say condemned cells. They will put you there to die.
Oh, okay. No one came out alive?
Not at all. So let's get inside. See.
This place. You're obviously going to die.
Have you feel something right now?
I can't breathe.
Just now you can't breathe.
Yeah,
you haven't even closed it.
Even though the door is open, but I can't breathe.
With a nod to the fourth-storied past and a wink towards the possibilities that lies ahead, visitors who troop in depart with their hearts and minds enriched with this journey through time. For Joy News, I am Jacqueline Ansama Yeboah.
So that's it for our Ghana month. We'll put a spotlight on that one for you. There's more on myjoyonline.com. So, I mean, if you look at it, we have looming shortage of HIV, malaria, TB drugs as medication expire at the port on that portal. So go on to myjoyonline.com and read the full story. It says CAF call off strike after extensive engagement with management. And NCA describes nationwide internet disruption unprecedented. So that's also on myjoyonline.com. Another story there is election 2024. Don't make promises in your manifestos. Obuasi West MP to political parties. Well, that will be a quiet read. An MP warning political parties not to make promises in their manifestos. Well, go there and read the full story. It says, without the internet, the world will struggle. Internet users over disruptions. Interesting reader. Go read the details. And also, implementation of birth registration number will check child trafficking. That's according to the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia there. And another story, we're experiencing intermittent challenges, not doom so. Government spokesperson on governance says. Well, so that's it for the bulletin today. My name is Samuel Kojobrace, and it's been a pure honor to be with you on the pulse today, and in fact, for majority part of this week. We'll meet again, God willing, some other time. Until then, please be good. Good evening.